Hello friends, I'm George, the nice medic gentleman. Welcome back to the channel guys, I hope that all of you are doing well. Today's video is going to be a review of two Maison Alhambra fragrances. The first one comes from the Zaffiro collection and it's called Regale, and this fragrance is a clone of Thameen Regent Leather, and the second one is called Dior Homme Sport, and as you can probably guess looking at the bottle, this fragrance is a clone of Dior Homme Sport. So join me in this video today so I can tell you more about these two. First I'm going to talk about the Zaffiro Collections Regale, and I'm going to quickly show you the packaging and the presentation. The fragrance comes packaged in this very nice looking box. In fact, the packaging and the bottle design, they're absolutely identical to Crafted Oud from the same line. In order to get to the bottle, to the inside part of the box, you need to slide this outside part off. Here on the front you got the name of the fragrance, the logo of Maison Alhambra. On the sides there's the bottle size 100 milliliters, the concentration EDP. On the back you get some additional information, a sticker of authenticity. On the bottom there's a production date which says July of 2023. Once you take out that outer sleeve, you open up the box like this and the fragrance sits inside. The packaging is really nice. I'm a very big fan of the packaging of the Zaffiro collection fragrances. And then this is how the bottle looks, again exactly the same as Crafted Oud. You get a nice dark blue colored bottle that has nice heft to it. The cap is wooden, it's pretty light, and it's not a very snug fit, so I would not recommend you picking the bottle through the cap itself, but other than that, the packaging and the presentation are absolutely fantastic. The note breakdown of Zaffiro Collections Regale has the following notes. The top note is lemon, the middle notes are saffron, cardamom, jasmine and rose, and the base notes are vanilla, gurjun, balsam, animalic notes, cedar oud, labdanum, patchouli and musk. I'll show the sprayer in action and then I'll tell you what I pick up out of this fragrance. The sprayer is pretty decent, puts a good amount of juice out and out onto the scent of Regale. Now, as I said, this is supposedly a clone of Thameen Regent Leather. I've never tried the original fragrance, so I cannot tell you how close this is, but I'll tell you what I pick up out of this one. Now the opening here is slightly fresh. There's a bit of a citrusy feeling in the opening of this fragrance, but it's not overly done, it's not a very fresh or very bright opening. I pick up quite a lot of sweetness right after you spray it, like vanillic and amber sweetness. There's some sort of a floral, sort of a green vibe to it from the jasmine note. And the other main note in the opening of this fragrance, to my nose, is the note of rose. Now it's not super strong, it's not overwhelmingly strong, that rose note, but it's definitely there. There's a hint of spiciness from the saffron and the cardamom, and maybe a hint of that leather as well. But the leather and the spiciness aren't that strong in the opening of this fragrance. When this starts to go into the dry down, it becomes a little bit more sweet. To my nose, the saffron loses its strength, the cardamom is still present on the dry down, the rose also starts to lose some of its strength, and the leather becomes a little bit more prominent compared to the opening. You also lose all of the freshness, the citrusy freshness from the opening of this fragrance, and the dry down is more like a mix of the leather, the sweeter notes like the vanilla and the amber, with a hint of the rose and some of the cardamom spiciness. All in all, it's a nicely done fragrance that's pretty soft, it's not overwhelming, none of the notes really stick out. The rose, the leather, the sweetness, it's a very balanced scent and it's quite enjoyable. When it comes to how close this fragrance is to the original scent, unfortunately I've not tried the original fragrance from Thameen, so I cannot tell you how good of a clone this is, but I can tell you that this is a very sort of on designer level leather-based fragrance that doesn't feel animalic in any way, and it's really easy to wear. When it comes to performance, Zaffiro Collection Regale has been a decent performer, maybe slightly above average. I've been getting about 6 to 6.5 hours of performance out of this fragrance, which is not that bad, but where this lacks in my opinion is the projection. This is a really soft type of scent, more of an intimate type of scent. Initially when you spray it, you get a sort of a decent projection in the first about 1 hour, and after that this fragrance starts to sit close to the skin and becomes more of an intimate type of scent. When it comes to the price price tag, I paid about 25 euros to get this fragrance, which is slightly more expensive compared to the most of other Maison Alhambra scents, but at the same time I think it's a pretty decent deal, because you get quite an interesting and nice looking bottle, and the whole unboxing sort of experience is really nice. And when it comes to versatility, to my nose, this is a perfectly unisex fragrance that can be worn pretty much all year round, maybe except of the hottest months of the year, but it's more oriented towards the colder months. And now onto the second fragrance featured in today's video, Dark Door Sport from Maison Alhambra. The fragrance comes packaged in this white colored box. On the front you got the name of the fragrance itself, the name of the company. On the top there's some additional, and on the back some additional Maison Alhambra presentation logos. On the bottom of the front part of the box there's some more information that's stamped on, and it's quite hard to read, but it contains the information about the bottle size, which is 100 milliliters, and the concentration, which is EDP. And on the bottom there's a production date, which in this case again is July of 2023. And once you take out the bottle, this is how the bottle looks. It's a pretty similar to what you get with the original fragrance, and also it's almost pretty much identical to the design of the other member of the Dark Door line, which is a Dior Homme Intense clone. It's a very heavy glass bottle that has a plastic cap, which is a pretty snug fit. All in all, the packaging in this case is pretty simplistic, but this is a very cheap fragrance. Note breakdown of Dark Door Sport from Maison Alhambra has the following notes. The top notes are lemon, bergamot and aldehydes. The middle notes are elemi and pink pepper, and the base notes are woodsy notes, olibanum and amber. This is the sprayer in action. It's a little bit on the weaker side, if you ask me. Now onto the scent of Dark Door Sport. As I said, this is a clone of Dior Homme Sport, and if you are familiar with the original scent, you immediately pick up that this is cloning that fragrance. It carries a very similar DNA. The opening is very bright, very citrusy, very fresh, and in fact it's even fresher compared to the original scent. Immediately after spraying, you also get a ton of those woodsy notes. It's a very woody type of scent as well, with a hint of spiciness and a hint of musk in the opening. In here doesn't have much sweetness in the opening. It's more about the mix of citruses, woodsy notes and the musk with a hint of spiciness. When this fragrance goes into the dry down, the citruses lose a bit of their strength, the spiciness is almost completely gone, and the dry down becomes a mix of the woodsy notes, the cedar wood note, with quite a lot of musk and also quite a bit of ambery sweetness. All in all, it's a very bright, very fresh, woody scent that's very easy to wear, feels very masculine, and is very versatile, and it's actually quite nicely done. There's a bit of harshness in the opening, like the first 10 to 15 seconds, but after that it becomes a really enjoyable scent. When it comes to how close this fragrance is to the original scent from Dior that it's cloning, Dior Homme Sport, I would say, as I said, it's pretty close. Maison Alhambra have done a pretty nice job at copying the original fragrance, but there are a few minor differences. To my nose, Dark Door Sport feels a little bit more citrusy in the opening compared to the original scent, and on the dry down this thing feels a little bit more musky compared to the original. The original feels a little bit less citrusy, and on the dry down feels a little bit more woody, whereas Dark Door Sport feels a little bit more musky, but other than that it's actually pretty similar to the original fragrance. When it comes to performance, it's a decently performing fragrance. I've been getting about 7 hours of performance out of this fragrance, with a pretty loud projection in the first about hour and a half. This is where this I think shines the performance, because this is a fresh type of scent, and 7 hours of performance out of a freshie I think is a pretty nice achievement. When it comes to the price tag, Dark Door Sport, I paid about 15 euros, maybe even slightly less than 15 euros, which I think is a very good deal, especially considering how expensive top-end designer scents tend to be nowadays. This costs about a tenth of the, not a tenth, but maybe like I don't know, 20% of the price of the original fragrance. And when it comes to versatility, this is a super versatile masculine fragrance. Definitely a masculine fragrance, but this thing just works all year round. You can wear this pretty much for any type of occasion. In my opinion, the best time to use this is in the warmer months of the year, but the reality is that this works pretty much all year round. And on to my final thoughts about Zaffiro Collection Regale and Dark Door Sport, both from Maison Alhambra. Regale is a very interesting scent that, you know, unfortunately I cannot compare with the original fragrance because I've never tried it, but this is a very interesting leathery scent that has quite a bit of sweetness, quite a bit of spiciness, and also a rose note thrown in just for good measure. It's a very sort of like a balanced scent between designer and niche type of you know, smell. When it comes to Dark Door Sport, Maison Alhambra have done a great job at copying the original fragrance. It will get you very close. It feels a little bit more citrusy and a little bit more musky compared to the original fragrance, which makes it, in my opinion, even you know, well, better suited to the warmer months of the year compared to the original fragrance. It's a very sort of a masculine scent that works all year round and has very decent performance. And the best thing is here that the price, at least that I was able to pick this one up, was super low, around about the 15 euro mark. So if you are familiar with Dior Homme Sport, if you enjoyed that kind of scents and you want something cheap to daily drive, you can definitely check out the Dark Door Sport from Maison Alhambra. I really like both fragrances, and I think they're a good addition to anybody's collection. And so guys, in today's video I reviewed for you two fragrances from the house of Maison Alhambra. The first one from the Zaffiro collection called Regale, and the second one called Dark Door Sport. I hope that you found this video interesting or helpful. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me in the next one. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.